before sin, before sorrow, before the weight of the world. There was her, Eve, the first woman to breathe the air of creation, the first to love, the first to fall, but also the first to witness God's grace. Her story is more than a warning. It's a mirror, a reflection of us all. But what if we misunderstood her? What if Eve's story is not just about falling, but about finding redemption? She opened her eyes and saw perfection, a world untouched by sin, a paradise where the lion and the lamb walked together, where the air smelled of life itself. And then she saw him, Adam, his eyes filled with, or as he whispered, "This is now bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh." She was not an afterthought. She was not secondary. She was formed with intention, designed to be Adam's equal, his partner, his strength. They walked together, talked together, worshiped together, a perfect unity. And in the center of it all, a garden, a place where God himself walked, where his voice was as familiar as a wind, but also a place with a choice, a tree, a warning, a test. Then, one day, a voice, not loud, not demanding, just a whisper. Did God really say? Eve turned, a serpent, watching her. Its eyes glowed with something more than curiosity, cunning, calculation. Eve was not afraid. Why would she be? She had never known fear. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? A question, not an accusation, not a command, just a seed of doubt. Eve answered, her voice sure. She knew God's words. We may eat from any tree, except this one. If we do, we will die. The serpent's smile curled. You will not surely die. God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like him. Like God, the thought had never crossed her mind before. The fruit was beautiful. It promised wisdom. It promised more. For the first time, Eve wanted something beyond what she had been given, and so she reached. Then she turned to Adam. He saw. He hesitated, but then he chose. And in that moment, everything changed. A shift, a breaking. Their eyes opened, but not in the way they expected. Not to wisdom, not to power, but to shame. They looked at themselves and saw something they had never known before. Lack, the feeling that they were not enough. In panic, they grabbed leaves, as if creation itself could cover their mistake. And then, footsteps. Adam, where are you? God was near, not because he didn't know where they were, but because he wanted them to see where they now stood. Adam's voice trembled. I was afraid, so I hid. Afraid, a word never spoken before in Eden. Eve stood silent. Her heart pounded. She had wanted to be like God, but now she only wanted to hide from him. Then came the consequences. Pain, hardship, a world that would now struggle. Eve would bear children, but not without pain. Adam would work the land, but not without toil. But in the midst of judgment came a promise. The seed of the woman will crush the head of the serpent. Hope, a whisper of redemption. Though Eve had fallen, God was already preparing to lift her up.
Eve became the mother of all living. She bore sons, held life in her arms, but she also felt loss. She saw the first blood spilled on earth, not by an animal, but by a man. Her own son, Cain, killed his brother, Abel. Can you imagine the weight of that pain? She had lost Eden, and now she had lost her child. Did she wonder? Did she blame herself? Did she remember God's words? Did she still believe in the promise? Eve's story did not end in darkness, because thousands of years later, a son was born, not of Adam's seed, but of a woman's, Jesus, the second Adam, the fulfillment of the promise spoken in Eden, the one who would take the weight of Eve's choice and redeem it with his own blood. Eve's story is not just her own. It is our story. We have all believed lies. We have all reached for things that promise more, but left us with less. And yet, God still calls. Where are you? Not because he doesn't know, but because he is ready to bring us back. Eve fell, but God still had a plan, and he has one for you too. If this message touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories of women in the Bible.